Level 1, the Chonsa. You are 17, and the first thing you learn is that you do not ask. You do not ask why the boots on your feet were taken from a discharged man the week before. You do not ask why the training sergeant knows your father's name, your uncle's record, your grandmother's village. Someone looked you up before you arrived. Everyone is looked up before they arrive. The days are simple in the way a hammer is simple. You march, you dig, you memorize. You learn that a rifle is clean before you are fed, and fed before you are thanked, and thanked never. And here is the fact that shapes everything, and nobody reads it to you because everyone already knows it. In March of 2003, the state codified the term of service, 10 years for men. Enlist at 17, and the army owns your life until you are nearly 28. In almost every other country on earth, a soldier signs for 2, 3, 4 years. You signed for your youth. Paper is a formality. There was never a choice to sign or not. An older soldier, call him Min, watches you struggle with your pack on the third day and says nothing, just tightens the strap for you. Once. You will remember that gesture longer than any speech. 10 years is not a sentence here. It is simply the length of a life. Level 2, the Habiopsa. You are 19 and you have survived your first winter, which is the only promotion requirement that matters. Junior Sergeant now. The word means you are trusted to stand watch alone, and to march other men, and to be woken first when something goes wrong in the night. What it does not mean is food. The ration line forms before dawn, and you watch the cooks scrape the bottom of the pot with the flat of a ladle, and you learn to read a day's mood by the thickness of the soup. Defectors and researchers who have tracked this army, outlets like Daily NK, which reports from sources still inside, have put a number on what you are holding in your tin bowl. In hard seasons, roughly 400 grams of food per soldier per day, much of it unhusked corn. 400 grams. A man digging frozen earth for 10 hours. The number is not an accident of a bad harvest. It is an administration. Someone, somewhere, decided this is what a soldier is worth, and the decision arrives in your bowl every morning on schedule. You stop being hungry the way you stop being cold. Not because it ends, but because it becomes the weather of your body. The older men teach you which roots near the wire are edible. Nobody calls this stealing. Nobody calls it anything. Hunger here is not a crisis. It is a budget line. Level 3, the Sangsa. You are 22, and 8 men now answer to you, and most of them are thinner than you are. Squad leader. You count heads at dawn and at dusk, and you learn the specific silence of a count that comes up one short. It has happened. It happens at every unit along this line, in every winter. The men talk about the ones who ran the way sailors talk about the drowned, quietly, and only when the officers are far. You know why they run. On the 13th of November 2017, at Panmunjom, the Joint Security Area, the most watched strip of ground on the peninsula, a fellow soldier of yours, a man who drove officers for a living and ate better than you ever will, jumped from his jeep and ran for the southern side. He was shot 5 times and made it anyway. The surgeons in Seoul who opened him up told the world what they found inside a young soldier of this army. Raw corn kernels, undigested, and a parasitic roundworm 27 centimeters long. The world was briefly horrified. Then the world moved on. Your army did not change its menu. You walk your post at night and you understand the man who ran. And you do not run. And you cannot fully explain the difference. Some men escape this army. The rest of you simply don't leave. Level 4, the Sowi. You are 26. And for the first time in your life, a room stands up when you enter it. Second lieutenant. Platoon commander. 30 men and their sleep and their boots and their letters home. All of it runs through you now. The army sent you to Pyongyang for this, through the officer pipeline whose gate is the Kim Il-sung Military University, the academy that has produced this country's commanders since the state's founding. You are not among the ones who wore its grey-green uniform. Those slots belong to Sons of the Loyal, but you sat in its feeder courses and you learned the first law of commissioned life. An officer is not a soldier who was promoted. An officer is a different kind of property. You have a room now. A small one with a door. And this is where the thing happens that nobody warned you about at 17. Because at 17 it would have sounded like a blessing. You close the door one evening and realize you are on the wrong side of it. The enlisted men could still dream of discharge, of the far-off year their service ends. Yours will not end. You asked for trust. And trust was given, and trust in this army is not a gift that lifts you. It is a debt that follows you, and it is never fully paid. A boy in your platoon, call him the quiet one, the one who writes letters, salutes you with something like hope in his eyes, And you understand that you are now the thing other people are afraid of. The bottom was never the cage. The key was level 5, the Dewi. You are 29, a captain, a company commander, and you command nothing alone. 150 men. Their training, their rations, their discipline, their readiness reports signed with your name. And beside you, at every meeting, at every inspection, in every photograph, stands another officer with the same rank and a different chain of command. Political officer. He is not your subordinate. He is not your superior. He is your shadow, and he answers to the General Political Bureau, the party's own army, woven through the real one, rank for rank, all the way down. Every commander in this military has one. Every commander knows that his career report is written twice. Once about his men, and once about him. You learn to speak carefully in your own office. You learn that a joke about rations, repeated by the wrong mouth, travels faster than any order you will ever give. Your political officer is polite, even warm. He shares your tea. He remembers your wife's name. You will never know which of your sentences he writes down. There is an older captain in the next battalion who drinks too much and once told you, laughing, that the two of you are married, you and your shadow, and it is the longest marriage in the country. He was transferred within the year. Nobody said why. Before we go further, if you've made it this far, comment what you want next. Hit that like button right now and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. We upload every single day. A command is not authority. A command is an audience.level 6. The Sangjua. The Sangjua. You are 34. A colonel. And 2,000 men wear your regiment's number. And the thing that fills your days is not tactics. It is arithmetic. The state gives your regiment a budget that has never matched its stomach. And so your real command, the one that decides whether your soldiers can stand at attention or faint at it, is farmland. Your men do not only drill, they plant. This is documented, reported for years by defector networks and researchers. Units of the Korean People's Army operate their own food plots, growing corn and potatoes on regiment land because the supply system cannot carry them. You now spend your mornings walking furrows like your grandfather did, except your harvest has a table of organization. An army that feeds itself is not a metaphor here. It is a line item. You sit across from the regimental supply officer with a pencil, moving sacks of grain from one column of a ledger to another, and you realize that everything you learned about leadership at the academy, doctrine, maneuver, history, was preparation for a job that is mostly this. Making a number that does not add up appear to add up, on paper, before the core inspection in the spring. The men think you are powerful. You are powerful. You can ruin a man's life with a signature. And you cannot put one extra bowl of soup in front of him without stealing it from somewhere else on your own map. At this rank you discover what command actually is. Command is logistics wearing epaulettes.level 7, the Sojang. You are 41, a major general, and you command a division from behind a desk that a street you once patrolled will never see again. 10,000 men, and you will never learn another one of their names. Your days are built from reports. Reports about reports. Each one smoothed by the hands it passed through, so that by the time a problem reaches your desk, it has been edited into a smaller problem. You know this. Everyone at your level knows this, and signs anyway because the signature is the job. And you remember, though nobody at your level speaks of it first, what happened to the 6th Corps in 1995. A corps headquarters up in the northeast in Chongjin. Its officers accused of organizing around a planned coup, of listening too long to the grievances of a starving region. The response was not a dismissal. It was the dismantling of a cadre, arrests up and down the officer corps, executions among the leadership, the unit broken apart and rebuilt under new eyes. You were a young captain then. You read between the lines of the official silence and understood the real curriculum of your profession. The danger to a general in this army has never come from the south. It comes from the building behind him. So you vet your own staff. You note who gathers after hours. You are careful with your friendships, and then you are careful with your carefulness, and one night you realize you no longer remember what you actually think about anything, because every thought now arrives pre-censored by the man it might reach. They call it paranoia. It is not paranoia when the 1995 file exists. At this height, suspicion is not a sickness. It is a survival skill. Level 8, the Daejang. You are 49, a colonel general, and you command a corps. And you are responsible for everything and present for nothing. Your life is filtered light. Drivers you do not choose. A house in a district where the power stays on. A telephone that rings with other men's conclusions. Your reports arrive already true. Your orders leave already obeyed. Between the two is a gap you can no longer see into, and you understand, late, that insulation is not comfort. Insulation is blindness with better furniture. Your wife stopped asking about your work years ago. Your children have learned, without being taught, that their surname opens doors and must never be heard opening them. Proximity to power in this country is itself a classification. Your family has been resorted by it, lifted by it, marked by it, and none of them voted on any of it. And every man at your level carries one name in the back of his mind like a stone in a shoe. Ri Yong-ho, Chief of the General Staff, one of the most powerful soldiers in the country, a man who stood beside the leader himself during the succession. Until a July morning in 2012, when the party met and relieved him of every post, citing illness. There was no farewell parade, there was no retirement. There was a man one day, and a silence the next, and he has never been seen publicly since. Every general in the army read that announcement the same way you did. The word illness was not a diagnosis. It was a sentence. You sign your reports. You sleep in shifts when you sleep. The view from this height is extraordinary, and you no longer look out the window. You spent 30 years climbing toward the light. The light at the top is a lamp in an interrogation room, and it is pointed at you. Level 9. Cha Won-soo, Vice Marshal. You are grey now, and there is exactly one rung left above you, and you will never touch it. You sit in rooms where the country's war is planned on paper, and you are one of the most powerful men alive in your nation, and you have learned what that power is made of. Consider the man who held the post of defense chief before you. Hyun Yong-chol rose all the way to the top of this uniformed world, and in April of 2015, South Korea's intelligence service reported what happened next. He had fallen asleep in the leader's presence, he had spoken back once too often, and he was executed. Reportedly by anti-aircraft gun, in front of an audience of officers. Reportedly, because in this country, even an ending is classified. The method is disputed, the disappearance is not, so you understand the truth of the summit before you ever arrive at it. The rank above you, Tae Won-soo, Grand Marshal, has been conferred exactly twice in history. On Kim Il-sung in April of 1992, on Kim Jong-il in February of 2012, 4 weeks after his death, laid on him like a wreath. The top rank of this army is not a promotion. It is a title for the dead and for the family that owns the state. Everyone beneath it, from the Chonsa counting his grams of corn to you in your grey uniform, holds a rank whose ceiling is another man's house. And this is what the whole climb was, the thing you could not see from the train at 17. You did not rise to the top. The top is not a place for climbs. You are simply what remains after everyone else was taken away. The highest room in a building that belongs to someone else. The summit of this ladder is not a throne. It is a servant's room with the best view.